There comes a moment in every life where the soul collides with a truth it has long tried to ignore. No one is coming to rescue you. The world is not obligated to notice your pain, your tears, or even your victories. For years you may have lived, waiting for someone to step in, a partner, a friend, a family member, even society itself, to affirm you, to see you, to validate the weight of your struggle. But the deeper you go into life, the clearer the revelation becomes. The world does not bend itself around your cries. It moves on, indifferent, as though your storm is but a ripple on the surface. And though this sounds cruel at first, it is not cruelty. It is a doorway to power. Because the very instant you accept this reality, something begins to break inside you. Yet what breaks is not your spirit. It is the illusion that held you prisoner. The illusion that you needed to be rescued in order to rise. The illusion that someone else's care was the foundation of your strength. When that illusion shatters, when you no longer wait for the hand of another to lift you, you awaken to the unshakable truth that the strength you have been waiting for is already within you. Think of the oak tree. It does not rise to its towering height because another tree held it up. It stands through storms and winds because its roots dug deep into the unseen soil. So it must be with you. If you anchor your hope in the fleeting approval of others, you will topple with the first storm of indifference. But if your roots grow deep in discipline, in faith, in the silent resolve to endure, no storm can uproot you. There is freedom in realizing that no one owes you their attention, their comfort, or their understanding. For when you release the expectation of being cared for, you stop bleeding from the wounds of disappointment. You stop rehearsing the story of who failed you, who forgot you, who left you to fend for yourself. And in that silence, you find the space to hear a deeper voice, the whisper that tells you, stand, rise, build. This is not to say that love does not exist, or that compassion is absent from the world. Love exists, compassion exists. But they are not entitlements, they are gifts. And if you live demanding gifts as though they were debts owed to you, you will spend your days in bitterness. Yet if you live knowing that love is a gift and strength is your responsibility, you will move through life with clarity. You will not beg to be seen. You will live in such a way that your presence cannot be ignored. The Stoics understood this. They knew that the pain of indifference is not a curse but a training ground. For when the world does not care, you learn to care for your own soul. When others do not rush to protect you, you learn to build armor within. And when the silence of neglect surrounds you, you discover the voice of eternity speaking in the stillness, shaping you into someone who no longer fears being unseen. The urgency of this truth is clear. Every day you continue waiting for others to rescue you. You delay your own awakening. Every hour spent hoping for sympathy is an hour stolen from building the strength that will carry you through life's storms. You must choose today whether to remain in the posture of waiting or to rise into the discipline of becoming. So let this truth cut deeply. No one is coming to save you, and that is precisely why you must rise. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to notice your pain is the moment you begin transforming it into power. The day you stop expecting the world to validate your worth is the day you step into unshakable freedom. And so I leave you with this. Do not despise the indifference of others. It is not your enemy, it is your initiation. It is the silence in which your true strength is born. Accept that no one cares, and you will discover the one who always has the strength within you. The voice calling you, the light that refuses to be extinguished. Stand in that truth, walk in that power, for when you no longer need to be race, love collapses when it is built on expectation. Let that truth settle deep into your spirit, because it is not a gentle truth, it is a sharp one. So many relationships fall apart not because love was absent, but because love was misunderstood. You see, the human heart is quick to turn affection into entitlement. We fall into the quiet trap of believing that someone else is responsible for our joy, our peace, our sense of wholeness. We hand over the keys to our soul, demanding that they carry the weight of our happiness. And when they fail to hold it all, bitterness rises like smoke in a burning house. But hear me clearly. No one was created to carry what only you can cultivate. The expectation that another human being can complete you, fix you, or constantly sustain you is not only unfair, it is a guarantee of collapse. For when you chain your soul to someone else's ability to provide what only discipline and divine strength can give, you are not loving them, you are enslaving both yourself and them. Love should be a choice born from freedom, not a crutch born from desperation. Yet how often do we demand that others soothe every insecurity, silence every fear, validate every doubt? We turn relationships into contracts of performance instead of sacred bonds of mutual respect. And when the other person inevitably fails, because they are human and fragile just as we are, we accuse them of betrayal. But in truth, it was our expectation that betrayed us. Pause and think. What happens to a house built on sand? No matter how beautiful its design, no matter how carefully decorated, when the waves come, it crumbles. So it is with love built on the shifting sands of expectation. The storms of life will come, misunderstandings, disappointments, changes in seasons. If your relationship is built on "you must make me whole," it will crumble under the weight. But if it is built on "I stand whole already and I choose to share that wholeness with you," then no storm can uproot it. This is where the urgency comes in. Many of you are bleeding from wounds that were never caused by malice but by misplaced expectation. You are angry at people who could never be what you demanded them to be. You are resentful at spouses, children, friends, and even parents, because you placed the responsibility of your soul into hands that were never equipped to hold it, and the longer you cling to that illusion, the deeper your wounds become. But here is the revelation. Love becomes pure when it is no longer rooted in need. To love without expectation is to finally see the other as they truly are, not as the answer to your void, but as a companion in your journey. It is to say, do not demand you carry me, but I will walk with you as I carry myself. That is freedom. That is maturity. That is the kind of love that cannot be shaken, because it is not built on the fragile foundation of demand, but on the unshakable foundation of discipline and choice. Understand this. No relationship can survive when it is fueled by constant blame. You cannot keep saying, "You did not make me happy today. You did not notice my pain. You did not love me enough." At some point, you must look inward and say, why do I require so much from someone else? What void am I refusing to face within myself? And in that question lies the beginning of transformation. The great paradox is this: when you stop demanding others complete you, love actually becomes sweeter. It is no longer about what you can take, but what you can give. It is no longer about fear of abandonment, but joy in presence. Love that is freed from expectation becomes light. It becomes a gift, not a transaction. And in that kind of love there is peace. So I urge you, break the chains of expectation today. Do not hand your happiness over to the fickle emotions of another. Take back the responsibility for your soul. Learn to cultivate joy from within, strength from discipline, and peace from faith. Then, and only then, can you walk into relationships without shackles, without demands, without desperation. And hear this final truth: when you stop needing others to carry you, you become someone worth walking beside. When you stop demanding completion, you become someone whose very presence inspires love freely given. The weight was never theirs to carry. It was always yours to release. Cued. You have already been set free. Silence in relationships is not always absence, it is revelation. When people stop explaining themselves, when they withdraw into distance, when their words fade into empty spaces, it is often not rejection but reflection. And here's the truth many do not want to face. Silence reveals more about a bond than 1,000 conversations ever could. Think of it, words are easy. Anyone can say, "I love you." Anyone can promise, "I'll never leave." But when silence comes, when the room grows heavy with unspoken truths, that is where the weight of reality presses in. Some people use silence as a weapon, but others use it as a mirror. And in that mirror you will see the cracks you have been ignoring. This is why silence must never be dismissed. It is a language of the soul, often louder than shouting. When someone grows quiet, they are telling you something that words cannot carry. Perhaps they are weary from giving too much. Perhaps they are broken from carrying unspoken burdens. Or perhaps they are no longer willing to fight for something that has become one-sided. Whatever the reason, silence is never neutral, it is always a message. But many of us resist this truth. We rush to fill the silence with noise, with denial, with excuses. We pretend that nothing has shifted, even as the atmosphere tells us otherwise. We ignore the stillness because we fear what it might reveal. That love has cooled, that respect has faded, that presence has become habit rather than choice. And so we miss the revelation, and by the time we finally face it, the relationship has already eroded beyond repair. Listen closely when silence enters. It is an invitation, not a condemnation. It is a chance to lean in, to discern what is truly happening beneath the surface. To ask not only, why are they quiet, but also, what within me have I failed to hear? For silence often exposes the parts of ourselves that words never dared to confront, the impatience, the neglect, the pride, the hidden expectations. And here lies the urgency. Do not harden your heart against silence. Do not dismiss it as moodiness or weakness, for in that quiet, there may be a divine summons calling you to wake up, to repent, to realign. Relationships are not destroyed in a single moment of betrayal. They are eroded by countless small silences that went unheeded. Every ignored pause, every dismissed withdrawal, every unspoken ache becomes another stone in the wall that eventually separates two souls. But there is hope. Just as silence can destroy, it can also heal. When used with wisdom, silence becomes sacred space. It becomes the soil where understanding takes root, where reflection blossoms into maturity. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give to someone is not an explanation, but your quiet presence, listening, discerning, waiting with patience until the heart reveals what words could not. In fact, silence can be a test. Will you panic and demand answers when none are ready to be given? Or will you stand steady, anchored, letting the quiet teach you endurance, humility, and discernment? Those who fail this test rush into noise and accusations. Those who pass it discover depths of love and understanding they never knew were possible. And let us not forget, silence is often where the divine speaks most clearly. The natural world clamors for constant noise, endless chatter, perpetual distraction. But in silence, illusions fall away. distractions fade, and the voice of truth pierces through. Sometimes the silence of a relationship is the very place where you are meant to discover that you are leaning too heavily on a human being, and not enough on the eternal. So I urge you, do not despise silence, do not fear it, do not rush past it. Learn to sit within it, to receive its revelation, to let it refine you. For silence is not empty, it is full of instruction, full of exposure, full of awakening. And here is the closing truth. If you can learn to discern the language of silence, you will never again be deceived by empty words. For silence will always tell you the truth that speech tries to hide. Disappointment in relationships is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to strip away your illusions. Too many walk into love with expectations shaped not by truth, but by fantasy. They imagine that another human being will complete them, rescue them, or heal wounds that only eternity can touch. And so, when the cracks appear, when promises are broken, when affection grows cold, when words cut deeper than silence ever could, they feel betrayed, not just by a person, but by the story they were telling themselves. But hear this with clarity. Disappointment is a teacher, not a curse. It is the fire that burns away your false hopes, so that what remains can be purified. Every tear shed in the wake of unmet expectations is an invitation to examine what you were leaning on, what you were idolizing, what you were demanding of another soul that they were never created to carry. For no man, no woman, no relationship was designed to be your savior. There is a reason so many feel crushed when the people they trusted falter. It is because they placed weight upon fragile shoulders that could never hold it. They wanted consistency from the inconsistent. They wanted perfection from the imperfect. They wanted eternal security from temporal beings, and when the illusion breaks, they cry out in despair, yet the breaking was mercy all along. For how else would you awaken if the dream had not shattered? Think on this. Disappointment is not the end. It is a redirection. It is a signpost pointing you back to what is unshakable, unmovable, eternal. It says, do not build your foundation on sand, for when the storm comes, it will fall. And isn't that what disappointment really is? A storm that exposes the weakness of the foundation. You thought it was strong. You thought it could stand. But the wind and the rain proved otherwise. Yet even here, there is hope. For storms do not only destroy, they reveal. They show you where your trust was misplaced, where your priorities were distorted, where your heart was too entangled with the temporary. And once you see it, you are free. Free to build again. This time on the rock that does not crumble. But understand this, freedom never feels comfortable at first. When the illusion shatters, you will feel the ache of loss. You will want to run back to the lie, because at least the lie felt safe. At least the fantasy gave you comfort, even if it was false. That is why so many repeat the same patterns, returning again and again to the very relationships that drain them, deceive them, or diminish them. They prefer the comfort of illusion over the pain of truth. Yet wisdom whispers, let the illusion die. Do not resurrect what was never real. Let the disappointment teach you, transform you, and discipline you into clarity. For every disappointment carries within it a hidden gift, the gift of discernment. If you embrace it, you will no longer confuse charm for character, affection for commitment, or attention for love. You will see with sharper eyes, hear with clearer ears, and walk with steadier steps. And here lies the urgency. The world is drowning in broken expectations. Marriage is collapsing under the weight of fantasy. Friendships poisoned by unspoken demands. Families torn apart because people expect perfection instead of embracing imperfection with wisdom. But if you learn this one truth, that disappointment is revelation, you will stop being crushed by it. You will stop resenting it. Instead, you will welcome it as a refiner of your soul. So the next time someone lets you down, ask not only, why did they fail me? Ask also, what false hope was I clinging to that needed to be burned away? For in that question lies your freedom, and in that freedom lies your strength. Do not despise disappointment. Do not run from it. For though it stings, it also saves. Though it wounds, it also warns. Though it breaks, it also builds. And when you rise from its ashes, you will no longer chase illusions. You will stand anchored in truth. ChatGPT said there comes a moment when you realize that carrying bitterness, replaying betrayals, and holding tight to the memory of pain does not punish the one who hurt you, it poisons you. What you thought was strength clutching the offense, keeping the wound open as proof of what was done, has only weakened you, drained you, shackled you to a moment that no longer exists. You cannot move forward while your heart is chained to yesterday. Forgiveness is not a gentle suggestion. It is a divine command, because it is the only path to freedom. Look closely at the way life works. Every offense you hold on to becomes a weight, and the longer you carry it, the heavier it grows. It weaves itself into your thoughts, shaping how you see others, how you trust, how you love. It even clouds how you see yourself. And yet, the offender may walk free, living their life, often unaware of the prison you've built around your soul. The chains are not on them, they're on you. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks those chains, not to excuse what was done, but to release you from being defined by it. Think of the seed buried in the soil. If it refuses to break open, it will never grow. It must surrender its hard shell, allow itself to crack, to be transformed, if it ever hopes to reach the light. Forgiveness works the same way. Your heart cannot flourish while it is encased in hardness. It must break open, surrender the right to revenge, release the bitterness, and in doing so, discover life that was hidden all along. But let me speak plainly, this is not easy. Forgiveness is not natural, it is supernatural. Human nature demands justice, cries out for repayment, insists that pain must be balanced by pain. But here is the mystery. When you refuse to forgive, you do not balance the scales, you tip them further into darkness. The offense multiplies within you, breeding resentment, anger, even hatred. And hatred is a disease. It spreads, it infects, it consumes. Forgiveness, however, interrupts the cycle. It halts the poison. It ends the contagion. It declares, I will not let what was done to me dictate what I become. Consider the stories of those who have forgiven unimaginable wrongs, parents forgiving the murderer of their child, prisoners forgiving their captors, the betrayed forgiving the unfaithful. To the world, such forgiveness looks impossible, even foolish. Yet those who release their offenders shine with a freedom that nothing else can explain. They walk lighter, their eyes carry peace, their hearts are unshaken. Because forgiveness is not weakness, it is power. It is strength clothed in humility. It is the courage to let go, even when every part of you wants to hold on. And here lies the urgency. Many are living shackled not by what others have done to them, but by their refusal to let it go. They pray for peace but cling to offense. They ask for joy but feed resentment. They long for healing while nursing the very wound that festers. And so long as bitterness rules the heart, freedom will remain out of reach. You cannot step into tomorrow while dragging the corpse of yesterday behind you. Let the truth pierce you. Forgiveness does not minimize the pain. It maximizes your healing. It does not erase the memory, but it transforms the meaning. It takes the weapon once used against you and turns it into wisdom. What was meant to destroy you becomes the very soil where your strength grows. So release them. Release the offense. Release the betrayal. Release the bitterness. Not because they deserve it, but because you cannot afford to stay bound. This is about your freedom, your destiny, your peace. Forgiveness is the bridge you must cross if you ever hope to leave the land of pain and enter the land of promise.